Good evening, everyone. I hope you all are doing well, and Gravitas AI is back with another interesting live session. Welcome to our panel discussion on integration of AI in education. And in today's technology driven age, this topic is extremely crucial. And for that, we have today with us Mr. Dipesh Jung, who has over 5 years of experience in the tech industry. With a deep understanding of AI solutions from his work developing them, Dipesh is now focused on AI Ed Academy. AI Ed Academy aims to promote AI literacy and guide K 12 educators in adapting to and incorporating AI technologies in the classroom. Combining technical AI expertise with the practical education, Dipesh is well positioned to help teachers and students navigate the rapidly evolving AI landscape. Through AI Ed Academy, he hopes to empower educators with the knowledge and tools to effectively integrate AI into curriculum and teaching methods. Welcome, Dipesh.
Thank you, Rosalie. I'm excited to be here and hoping we will have very engaging conversations today.
Likewise, Dipesh. Also, we are joined today by us, Sneha Asopa, who is the Strategic Growth Manager with Gravitas AI. She has done her MBA in AI and consumer psychology. Also, she is a design thinker and consultative growth expert. Welcome, Sneha.
Thank you so much, Rishali. Thank you for having me here. Very excited to have this conversation with Dipesh. Looking forward.
Yeah, thank you. So let's delve into our first segment, that is the fireside chat with our esteemed panelists. So, starting with you, Dipesh, would you like to share your insights on how AI is transforming university admissions?
Yeah, of course. So I think when we talk about admissions, we need to consider two key players here. One's the student side, whoever's like applying, and the other is the admission office. And with in the case of AI, we're seeing applications on both sides, right? So on the student side, we see them like using AI to write their cover letters for their admissions, and it's kind of making it more difficult for the admission officers to like tell apart like who are like excellent students because all of them are writing great college applications, and for that. I think college admissions officers need to consider like more organic forms of like input from, for example, focus more on the substance and the content of what the student has presented rather than the actual presentation of the college essays. Um, so, and on the admissions side as well, like there's plenty of opportunities, right? So, from AI can help you in sorting and kind of um, reviewing and processing the applications, and that can help a lot of save a lot of time for the admission officers, which allows them to kind of focus more on the, like the higher aspects of the applicants, reviewing the applicants, and um, so yeah, there's a lot of potential, but also we need to be kind of aware of the risks, right? So there's like biases and misinformation and whatnot. Um, so it's
Right,
important to balance things out.
right. So I think I would also like to provide like an extension of what Dipesh has rightly mentioned. There is a lot of transformation that's coming into education uh, post the disruption in AI. Now, as he has mentioned, there are two stakeholders here. One is the student end who are applying for these courses, through different admission processes, and then there are admission officers and counselors who are being a part of this process when they're accepting these applications. Of course, it's very difficult to make a comprehensive understanding of what is being presented because ChatGPT these days writes so efficiently for everybody that it becomes next to impossible to figure out which would actually be a genuine application rather as to it's being generated automatically. So keeping that aspect in mind, definitely there can be further segments into this process where we can use sentiment analysis, where we can use keyword based filtration, which can give us as the admission partners or the admission officers to distinguish between the actual genuine cover letters, like he mentioned in the case study, like we discussed, and then the ones that are being generated automatically. Apart from this, there is another side to the coin that deals with the complete process of the admissions, right? So when I, as a student, is wanting to enroll in a particular in a particular course, it becomes very essential for me to understand that am I eligible for this, or how good this course is going to be for me. What is it going to reap for me once I enroll for this particular course, and how is anybody who has taken this course currently applying it in their current life. So what are the alumni doing? How is their journey been, etc. So there is a very vast component to how education can be enhanced. I mean, the education processes can be enhanced using AI, but at the same time it also comes with a lot of responsibility that we need to nurture within us while we're developing these kind of solutions, because the data that is being processed into this is very sensitive. It has a lot of information regarding somebody's documents. It has a lot of information regarding their any other transcripts that come from the other universities while taking this admission. So all these factors, including cybersecurity, has to be taken very, very seriously. And of course, because it's under transformation right now, we will still keep on seeing these challenges, resolving these challenges, and then move ahead in the educational journey.
Thank you for your insights, Dipesh and Sneha, on this particular questions. And if I talk on the similar lines, I would also like to ask, like, how colleges are using AI to improve enrollments and retention.
Well, in case of enrollment, I think one of the first application we're seeing is like on the admission side is they're using AI to create uh, marketing contents, right? So more attractive marketing contents and making it like more accessible. Uh, I mean, information rich kind of like thing. Uh, um, and then I think, but one of the biggest, like, if we can useful tool might be like predicting enrollment. So, like predicting student success from the first enrollment and kind of like throughout the whole process to through retention as well. And it could be based on like various factors, like, for example, like how the student is performing, like historic academic performance, and then their kind of like financial situation and things like that. Um, and also like mm, that prediction can also like maybe help determine like whether a student will drop out, like how likely a student will drop out, and according to that, like it'll allow the um, like college faculties to like intervene before like uh,
Hmm.
it escalates. So
Correct.
yeah.
I definitely agree with what Dipesh has to say here. And enrollment is just not the end of the admission process, but it is the beginning of the academic process. So after enrollment actually starts the analysis and understanding whether the student is going to be able to get through the curriculum, very effortlessly, or there is going to be, like the page mentioned, the student could drop out. They could have some financial barriers. There could be some geographical barriers as well. There could be climatic conditions that do not enable them to access the course, etc. So there are a lot of challenges when it comes to education, and education is something that is so vast in nature and spread across so many dimensions that you really need to take into account accessibility as one of the most important factors. Adjoining to that, it is also essential that we keep in our minds that once we have given accessibility, how is that accessibility being taken advantage of or is being reaped of by the students as well, right? and that is what will make sure that the student is retained with your with the establishment, with the educational establishment. Having said that, even in the complete journey of the student, if you see, from the enrollment to retention, there is another aspect where we could not only use sentiment analysis, we could not only use different parameters that could be, say, what is their annual income, or have they taken any kind of, say, if there were any wave offs in their fees structure, etc., provided. So, keeping these parameters in our mind, we could create a system, an algorithm that then highlights students based on these parameters, right? So, there could be attention given to every student, even if it's a special case, whether they're not physically fit, so on and so forth, right? There could be n number of scenarios that we can imagine that come under this particular segment, and helping the student end to end becomes very essential. In this, we could also enhance it with language capabilities. So we could have multiple languages to communicate with the students, so that it enables them to uh, feel more comforted and ensured that okay, they're taken care of. This could also work very great with the international students. Apart from that, AI will not only help in the communication bit, but it will also help streamline these admission processes through various augmented realities as well. Moving further, so once we have a good grasp on generative aspects, then we can move towards the augmentation aspect. So I think it's a very lengthy aspect to explain and discuss in a very short time. But of course, colleges will have to adapt to this as soon as possible, because that's the next future.
Thank you for highlighting your insights, Sneha and Dipesh, on the transformation of university and admissions and the use of AI in improving enrollment and retention rates. Your expertise has shed light on the innovative approaches shaping the future of higher education. And yes, I can also say that it's evident that AI has the potential to revolutionize these areas, and it can offer opportunities for greater efficiency, inclusivity, and personalized support for students. And by embracing these advancements, it can lead to more accessible and effective educational experiences, ultimately benefiting both the institution and the learners alike. So
Correct.
now let's start with our next segment that everyone would love, the storytelling session. So, Dipesh, can you recall a story where AI technology provided personalized assistance or support to students or educators?
Yeah, sure. So while currently at this level, it's still very early, right? So we're still educating teachers about like making them aware about AI and all these amazing AI tools that they can use, that they have in their hands to like enhance learning. Um, but the change is slowly coming. But on a higher level, I think so. Uh, so let's see, like take traditional classrooms, right? So traditional classrooms have like been there for like generally have a structure like you start off with a lecture and then they do a couple of activities, they assign a homework, and then the student goes back home and completes their homework, comes back to school, and the lesson is completed. Like uh, this has been there for a long while. And I think AI is now giving us an opportunity to kind of like take it to a new level. First of all, like we're already seeing problems like when AI is in the setting of a traditional classroom. Like for example, you assign a homework to a student, then they'll use AI at their using their mobile phones, and they just complete the homework, and then uh, you know the teacher has no way of telling. Like even AI detectors are very well. It's still they say they don't work well, but uh, so so we see a lot of problems already with the traditional system, and well now it's important for teachers to kind of like learn. about AI and kind of like also teach about AI to students to in order to prepare for the future. And the and while like we see like as AI kind of giving superpowers to students in a way that they when they use it, it kind of appears that they're producing better work, but that is not necessarily true. Like AI could be like harming, like impeding learning instead of, improving it. Just because like students are using AI and trying completing their assignments faster doesn't mean it means that they're not learning. They're just, letting AI do the work for them, and that is not right. Uh, like you learn when you think, and when you don't think, like yeah, you don't learn. So um, So it's important that we kind of like form new ways of assessing students. It's a problem, and it's a big challenge, and we need more innovative ways of like how we can assess student learning. Uh, and so uh, and there's also this risk that if a student, like when you overuse AI, you kind of like tend to develop a over reliance on the technology, and uh, and you need to like address those risks pretty quickly, or otherwise it can like really it might hamper the brain development of especially kids. Uh, so yeah, in conclusion, kind of yeah, new ways of assessments are necessary. Um, like general awareness about AI and understanding what this technology is and what its limitations are also important. And finally, new policies and kind of guidance needs to be kind of put place in schools and institutions that kind of give more value to human learning than um, improving productivity and kind of like just being very tech driven and kind of like integrating AI without considering the risks. So yeah, that was. I know
Right.
it's not exactly a story, but yeah, I tried. Okay.
Thank you, Dipesh. Yes, Sneha, would you also like to share some stuff?
Definitely. I think one of the stories that I'd like to share is from my engineering days. So,
Yes.
I remember that time AI was just coming up, and we were very excited about, we should have something in our college fest related to AI. And I remember we sitting with our, so I come from an electronics and telecommunication background. So we were more into mechatronics and robotics, very hardware related aspects of tech. And we sat down with the IT students and our friends, and we kind of developed a system which was very interesting at that point in time, very small, but very, interesting. So we actually developed a platform for our own college that listed everything that was happening in the college fest. And so whatever hackathons are happening, or whatever robo uh, face offs are happening, or even for that matter, somebody is participating in Baha or Supra. These are races where you build your own car like an F1 car, and then you race against it. So there is so much information about students and what they're doing. There are different clubs, and there's a lot of education happening internally in the college as well. So we simply had a platform where we very intelligently trained it on bits and pieces of information related to those clubs, and we got enrollments through there, and very well managed our uh, we used to call it Tectonic. The name of our college fest used to be Tectonic. So we very well managed Tectonic in a way that it was all driven through the platform. And had I known that this could be an actual MVP that I could sell, I would have really registered the idea at that point in time. But
Yeah.
this is a story that now I recall that okay, we had the vision, we had the product, but we didn't have the
Mhm.
education where this will go in terms of business, right? So I think that is also something which is a part of education, that how can you monetize on technology and at the same time reduce efforts but not kill your creativity. So yeah, that is one of the stories that really, kind of takes me back to the AI thoughts.
Yeah. It was great, great to learn from you, Sneha. Also, if we talk about this story, also if you can share a simple example of how AI has made a difference in your learning journey when you were in your engineering days, or that of someone you know, it would be great to hear it from you.
Right. I'd like to share one story, which is not a story of somebody close by, but this is something that I was browsing through some articles online and I came across this use case. And it's very interesting, wherein we have students who are blind, we have students who are mute, they cannot speak. So for these students who are, specially challenged, uh, AI can definitely make a lot of difference in their academics. That's number one. Number two, skill based analysis. So when a person is unable to communicate, what their skill set could be, or for that matter, even understand what their skill set could be, right? For me to tell you that, Rashali, okay, this is my skill set. First, I need to be aware that this is my skill set, right? So
Right.
even analyzing my own skill sets is very essential. These things are now being taken care of by a lot of AI tools. So just a very small example is, like I said, say, there is a mute student who might be, say, good at coding, right? The only thing that that student cannot do is speak. Understanding is there, listening is there, but just delivering the communication is not there, right? So in that case, there could be paraphrasing capabilities. We could use NLP to make sure that the communication is taken care of. We could use robotic process automation to ensure that, okay, tomorrow, if this particular student is wanting to kind of be a part of some or want to be a part of a startup, or they want to start their own entrepreneur journey, how can we enable these kind of people with different with education of different silos, right? So once you have acquired your own skill set, you know that, okay, I want to start an e-commerce store, or I want to start say a coffee shop, or I want to deliver a certain product. In that case also, they would become obsolete in the coming time, because if they don't have understanding of technology, how are they going to even survive? So in the race of running ahead, that a lot of access of information is available. Also, what is the you know uh, we as a society, what steps are we taking to ensure that there is equal distribution of this information to everyone? Not only the one who can learn, not only the ones who can process the technology, but also we need to ensure as a society, as a social responsibility, that we need to pull each and every student that comes along with it. Because if they are left behind, then we'll have a generation of students and people who have absolutely no connection to the technology, because they didn't have the opportunity, or somebody didn't walk up to them and say that, okay, you need to get yourself educated. So, like Dipesh, like we work at Gravitas, and there are so many other organizations who focus on AI-based trainings, not only to their employees, not only to their viewers, but in general, education around that particular topic is very, very essential, and this can be delivered excellently using AI. So there are conversational AI tools, there are virtual assistances, there are read through tools wherein say a lecture is going on and someone doesn't have the time to go through that lecture. You put a AI tool, read.ai, something like that. You just put it in, and then it's going to give you all the notes of that particular day. So we need to make accessibility to technology more and more more and more easy and seamless. So, not really a story, but something that I read, and I could imagine how the story of someone who comes from this particular thought, how it would be. So, very interesting and heartbreaking at the same time. But yeah, that's the reality.
Thank you, Sneha, for explaining this in an amazing way. It couldn't have been better. Also, we would like to hear your views on this, Mr. Dipesh.
Uh, Thank you, Shay. um, that was a very heartwarming, story,
Yeah.
like story about like how we can like provide access to technology and kind of like to kind of create, develop, program, because some of them are like very strong minds but are limited by their disabilities, and it's really great like if we can like provide them access to technologies like AI. It'd be amazing to see that world. Uh, I think so. In terms of how AI has influenced my learning journey, is well, uh, I think when it first came out, when ChatGPT tools like ChatGPT first came out, like I think everyone's a beginner when they start using a new tool, right? So uh, and for the past say 15, 20 years, like we've been using Google to search for information, and the way we've been using Google is that we kind of like just type in the keywords and then hit enter, and then we hope it finds a website for us that provides that information. That changed when ChatGPT came, because uh, we suddenly have a way of like directly accessing information without having to go through websites. uh, but still kind of like, since we've been searching information using keywords for so long, some people like, so those who are still not used to AI, they kind of like do the same with tools like ChatGPT. They just hit keywords and then hit enter, but uh, that's not how like you efficiently utilize a new tool like AI. You need to kind of like along my journey, like I learned that you kind of need to use it as you're talking to someone, like it's a character, and you can give it personas like, hey, you're a expert at marketing, give me a great tagline for my social media post, and kind of like that. So uh, there are tools, there are techniques with which like you can improve like how the AI kind of provides output to you, how it can provide like the result that you're looking for, and it's um, it's kind of a learning journey. Uh, uh, there's also the aspect of like like I've met a few people who are like pretty genuinely scared about using the technology. They think like, if that thing is doing thinking for me, then what is my brain for? Like, what is my purpose for thinking for? So it's a scary thought to have, and when you're using AI, you kind of like to be careful, about like which aspect of like thinking you're actually delegating AI to do, and which aspect of thinking that you keep to yourself. Um, you can use it for simple tasks like brainstorming or summarizing things, but if you're like asking it to come up with the ideas and kind of do the whole entire writing and do the whole learning itself, without you yourself learning, then that's not beneficial to you. So I think along my learning journey, using AI, like that's kind of been like where it's gotten. Like I definitely feel like more comfortable using it now, and I always like when my rule is always put effort before and after using the AI. Like do some pre-thinking about like what you're trying to ask, what you're trying to find out, what you're trying to get from the AI. Put in some of your own original ideas and thinking into it, um, and get some of the AI input get some inputs from the AI also, like because it's an awesome tool that after it's provided in output, like make sure to kind of evaluate that, don't just like, hey, this is pretty good, like I just copy paste it. No, think about like what it's actually written. Does it make sense? Is it logical? Is it like wrong in some places? Like fact check the output. So yeah, I think while I've gotten better at using it, for learning, but I'm still not, there like what the potential really is. And I think it's the case for everyone. And but it's exciting to witness or experience, like see where this is gonna go. Yeah.
Sometime in the future, Dipesh, we can have a new panel discussion on the future of AI, like what in now AI has been and what was it in the past. As you mentioned, like I want to know the upcoming insights about the AI. So yeah, I truly appreciate the valuable insights that you both have shared in the form of stories, and I thank you for sharing your expertise. Now let's shift our focus to another segment, that is myth busting round. Here we will address the common myths about AI. So my first question is, what concerns do people have about digital equity and access to AI technologies?
I think in terms of equity, some people might think that only the very tech savvy, like very well facilitated schools and students will have access to AI, but that really isn't the case, right? Anyone who has a very simple smartphone and internet access has access to one of the most powerful AI existing in the world, right? And so it's I think it's kind of like well, I think that misconception is kind of like well, people need that cleared up. But other than that, uh, yeah, yeah, I'm hoping to learn more from Sneha. Yeah.
Definitely, there is a lot of uh, confusion and chaos around, how digital channels are going to change, and how my data is secure, and whether uh, is it really something that I could use. So from a layman's perspective, it is very difficult for them. So if you walk up to someone who is very used to uh, kind of managing a desktop on their uh, office table, and they've been using say Windows, and they've been using Microsoft Office for a very long time, it's going to be very difficult for me to go ahead and tell them that what, now you could make an Excel sheet by just putting in a prompt. For them it becomes really difficult to understand that, okay, now my job is going to change from actually segregating columns and rows and putting information over there to just putting in a prompt. However easy it sounds when I'm going to explain it to that person, at the same time that person is very intimidated by how fast this technology is processing the task that it took 2 or 3 days for me to do, that they feel so overwhelmed with that emotion that they would refrain or kind of resist to jump into that particular technology, right? So this is one of the biggest barriers that is present at this point in time, the willingness to move from technology point A to technology point B, which is something that keeps happening, right? So even if you see in terms of how we grabbed information, we used to have access to information through newspapers, yellow pages, etc. Then came the sense of internet. Then we started using web pages. Even though web pages were on dial-up connection, so there should be a single page. Then we came to more complex websites. So this has been a journey of adaptation, right? So we have to adopt to the technology, and it has to be in a way where either it is catastrophic, that means that after COVID in India, even the people who are not using Google Pay are using Google Pay today, right? Let's consider our generation plus one, like say our parents, or who are in their 50s and 60s. Even my father, for that matter, he was so hesitant to use Google Pay, and he used to be like, what if somebody just hacks into my account and takes all my money? Which is a very valid, it's not even a myth, it's a very valid aspect. But Google Pay making itself so relevant, making sure it was able to break the barriers of the myths that were present into the minds, and then also come the time of COVID, where it was just you had no option but to adopt. So either it would be something catastrophic that will make this change, or it will happen at its own pace. But it will happen. So the myth itself is that people, do feel that okay, this is kind of a trend. This is just a phase, and it will pass. Rather, AI is going to be ending all the phases that have been till now, and it's going to be a phase in itself. So if you're not going to adapt to it, if you're not going to float with the wave will push you back. Again, adding to the same point that I mentioned earlier. And also adding one more aspect is that, I think Dipesh very rightly mentioned, AI is just a tool, right? So just imagine a carpenter. He has a log of wood. He's using, a hammer, and he has that plucker, and he has all these tools. After breaking the piece of wood, whether he's going to convert it into a chair or a table is the intelligence of the carpenter. It is just a tool that you use to shape your, product. And then if you don't apply your own intelligence and your skill set and your authenticity to it, until and unless you don't do that, having AI is absolutely like having just a hammer in your hand and nowhere to go. So you really need to understand that a tool is a tool, and a tool in your hand is going to add value. A tool on its own is nothing. You on your own are averagely talented. A combination of a tool and intelligence is something that is required to take AI ahead. So yes, that's my take.
Indeed, Sneha, tool and intelligence are complementary things. Also, as we have discussed more about artificial intelligence in our session, I would also like to ask Dipesh about like how reliably do these AI detectors work?
Um, well, so far, um, the results are like kind of yes and no, but it kind of so if like the students are kind of just using it to kind of write an essay using one prompt, like write an essay about something, then the outputs the chatbot gives will be pretty generic, like it's um, and those outputs, like you can tell those are AI generated. But uh, these days, like students are really fast, right? These generations, they're really great at using technology, and they don't just use one AI. They might use tens or maybe hundreds of AI to kind of like walk through their essay and then beat the AI detectors. And actually, they don't even need 100. I've talked to a few students who have told me like they get a ChatGPT write original essays undetectable in one single prompt using ChatGPT. So they're pretty talented. So right now, it's for educators, like the best advice is to kind of not rely on AI detectors, and instead, like Sneha pointed out earlier, like we need to go towards the path of adoption, right? So teachers, like instead of banning AI work from the work, they need to kind of be more open to students about work. They need to tell students about like um, uh, the dangers of using AI for their work, and kind of like, or even like maybe teach them how they can use it better in a way that it kind of not um, hurts their learning, but kind of supports it. Uh, and So they also kind of need to be more aware about like its limitations, like it can give false information, it can have biases and all. Uh, like um, Also like policies can be set up in like the both course level or institution level to kind of uh, you know kind of control how the usage of AI among students. Uh, so yeah, that's it.
Sneha, would you also like to add something on this?
Um, like I have already mentioned in my previous
Yeah.
statements that there has to be uh, there has to be hygiene around how you use AI. And to be very honest, I feel that the educators should educate the students on these AI tools. That, you know what, there are these 10 websites, or there are these 100 websites that you can use, but at the same time encourage them to add their own creativity. Because if we are going to, it's a very normal human tendency. If you ask a, a student or a small child that, don't do this, they would do it. The first thing that they would do is they would go out and try it out, right? So let's introduce it in the classroom. Let's teach them how to use it. Let's teach them how authentically they can use it, right? The moment we surpass uh, the fear that, teachers have, that okay, if I give this student an assignment, he or she is going to go and then, use chat gpt, and then I'm going to get this answer. So, why go through that journey? Rather sit with the student, use chat gpt, and get a very informative, a very I would say a punchful juice out of chat gpt. Put it down and then pick up your pen and start writing from there. So this would also reduce the burden of memorizing information, because these days, if you see, there are so many different health conditions that are prevalent into us, which were not earlier, because of which, even our parents tell us that okay, we don't remember things as much as we used to do. We used to study so many things. We used to remember all the phone numbers and this and that. I would hardly remember 2 3 phone numbers today on my phone book, right? I don't remember phone numbers because that has become informative. That's not intelligence. So there needs to be a segregation between intelligence and information. Information can be captured, grabbed from anywhere, but how intelligently you are applying it to a problem statement is something that needs to be done. So that is the gap that we really, really need to bridge.
Thank you, Sneha. Thank you for explaining the worries and misconceptions about access to AI and digital fairness. And also, I believe that by teaching people more about AI and making sure everyone can use it fairly, we can make sure that everyone benefits equally from these new technologies. So that's it for the day, and I thank a panelist for discussing the integration of AI in education and addressing concerns and myths about digital equity. Your insights were invaluable in shaping a more inclusive and informed approach to harnessing AI's potential in educational settings. Thank you, Mr. Dipesh and Sneha, for joining us today and making the discussion exciting.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
me.
Thank you.
And thank you, Sneha. Thank you,
Thank
Rishabh.
you. I would also like to thank our viewers for joining us today. Stay tuned for upcoming interesting live sessions. Hope you have a good day. Thank you.